watch Survivor, and when the show ends, you really want to talk about it with like-minded friends. It might be hard to find some, but don't you shed a tear. Check out the Purple Rock Podcast, and this is what you'll hear. John will make some dumb jokes, Andy likes to yell and curse, and if they're not available, the backup hosts are so much worse. Spend the whole time being jerks, telling you you're wrong, and so we got this other jerk to sing you our theme song. It's the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast.
Welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast. I am John, and this week we are talking Survivor 48, Episode 9. And true to my word, I have done every episode this season so far. I plan to keep it that way. And this week, I'm bringing in my loyal to the end sidekick, Andy, to talk about our, podcast that has always been about loyalty and sticking together and how important it is to just to keep the strong bonds that we have. So, Andy, I could think of no better choice to discuss this episode with than you.
There are still heroes in this world, John. Don't let anyone tell you any different.
Right. It's specifically us. Yeah. I think
that the number is 2.
Yeah. It's here they are.
I mean, maybe that one pilot that landed in the the river that one time, but us and Sully. That's it.
Yeah. He's the third. Hey, did you like this episode of Survivor?
Hell yeah. What's not to like?
Well, man, I fucking loved it. I think, we had one a couple of weeks back where I was like, this was an A+ for pre-merge. And I was like, actually, no, it's just an A+. Again, I feel like just knocked it out of the park. Like they did an amazing job laying out how we went from the whole strong 5 thing to these hoes ain't loyal in the course of a couple episodes. Like I didn't care that the vote was obvious. Like the story was so well told. I enjoyed every minute.
Yeah, and I think that's been true for the season. And I know there's probably some people who have some pushback, but I don't think that's actually the show telling the story poorly. I think they just aren't happy with the story that's being told. And I think a thing that helps us, well, obviously we have our preferences too, but, we don't just need Survivor to be one way. We don't have just one type of winner that we enjoy. It's certainly some that we enjoy more than others, or certain players. I also think there's been a lot of people thinking that the season was going a different way than it actually has been. But yeah, no, man, like last week, we got our favorite, saved. Again, she seems somewhat imperiled in this episode in a way that was never convincing for me. And instead, kind of the biggest antagonist that they'd built up largely over the past couple of episodes, especially last episode and this one, was eliminated. And what's not fun about that?
I think part of it is that, they've done such a great job of setting up this like strong 5 thing as an inevitability, right? Like it was just, they made it seem like, wow, they did it. They, they're going to march to the end. They really executed their plan. They are lockstep, like going to march all over everybody else, and congrats to them. Right. And I think that, for some reason, some people in the audience were believing that narrative, like, oh no, this is happening. This is really how it's going to go down. Like, no.
And I hate it.
Yeah, no, this is, Survivor's giving us the, how these scrappy little underdogs are going to come up and usurp the strong 5 somehow. And I think the story is being told so fucking well. Like, I even loved that we, in this episode, were flashing back to how things helped us get to this point. And like, it's just been a multiple episode arc to get here. And like, this was a great way to finish that arc.
Yeah, and I think like leading up to this, we've commented a few times that like, hey man, this is great. They just keep taking out the less dynamic players, what we want. And I think other people are like, oh, but that's no fun. And it's like, no man, it's better for them to leave early and to stick around. But that actually hasn't been completely accurate. And I think when we've been talking about it, we've been talking about, when people like Cedric and Chrissy and Bianca and stuff, though they're going home. But we have lost dynamic players along the way as well, right?
Sure.
Obviously, when we lost Thomas, that was a bit of a bummer. But it wasn't that big a bummer because it was like him or Kamilla. So it was like, hey, or I think at that point it was him or Kyle. So like, yeah, big time. Say was absolutely a dynamic player.
Indeed.
But again, it was like, well, this is her time. You know, we've gotten enough out of her. She's annoying. It's satisfying to see her go. And that's what this was too, because, you know, say what you want about David. We're going to say a bunch. The man was dynamic. Yeah, the man was doing stuff. But, you know, so then we get the other hand of it. So it's like, yeah, there's probably still some boring people to go. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I think the show has also done an effective, we don't need them in the narrative if they're not in the narrative. But it's also satisfying to see somebody who like is annoying you as the show built up David to be that lose.
Right.
That's one of the simple joys of Survivor.
And not only that, but I think you brought up the Thomas going home thing. Like, there are times when we will accept, or I will accept at least, a player going home that I actually like because, you know, the path to get there made for interesting or entertaining TV. And like in this case, all the goals were accomplished in that, like, I was ready to be done with David, like, because I think this was a satisfying end to that story. And then also, like, my faves are still in the game and helped engineer it. So yeah, this was just great all around.
Yeah. And I do wonder if, like, maybe the way it could have been more satisfying for us is if we're those reactionary people who have been in a death spiral for 2 episodes now, like, oh no, the big strong 5 are going to be that way. It's like, man, really? Y'all fell for that this soon?
No.
Just because they kept saying it? You do know that when, like, the show keeps telling you it's going to be one way, that's probably not the way it's going to be.
So I should point out, though, that, you know, at the start of this episode, if you were just doing a head count of, like, where could the votes go, it realistically did not look good. I mean, I, again, was very confident just because I could see where this story was heading. But I was like, man, if you were to do a head count right now, like, it was... Star is apparently just in tight with David and Mary. Who fucking knew? And
I felt like she was tight with that side. I just thought it was a different side of that side.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she had expressed her, you know, loyalty to Eva and gave her idol, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who knew? But she's just in deep with David and Mary. And so then I was like, oh man, you got like Mitch and then Kamilla, and I was like, I guess Kyle can't really go with Kamilla in that case, and like, you'd need multiple other votes. And then I was like, well, I think we're gonna get multiple other votes. And then over the course of 90 minutes, we see how those other votes come into play, and, you know, went from solidly on David's side to I don't know anymore to like, yeah, no, we got to take out David. And I think it was so well put together. It was like, you know, there's a lot of times where like fans will complain like, oh, I don't even understand how that happened. They showed you exactly how this happened.
Yeah, I'd say after what we saw from David last week, I was confident he could mess it up this week. You know, like if we were still in the, you know, this is stupid for me to say. Never mind. I was like, if we did still do predictions, I think I would have predicted. Yeah, great thing to say right after it happened. I would have been right. But like I was excited last week. I'm like, I think the season's going where we wanted to go, and this is where I wanted to go. I will say at certain points in the episode, but it was early, so it wasn't like Mary's a half measure. You know, when they were talking like, let's just get rid of Mary.
Yep.
It's like, no. And we'll get into whether they should have or not. But yeah, no, it's like the season's fun, man. Well, the people that we like, they're still around. They still got moves and stuff. And yeah, don't buy too much into this narrative of that it's going to be one dominant alliance. Like, come on. Yeah. Are you new here?
So,
I mean, David was, but you guys.
So what do you think went wrong for David? Like, what was the thing that set all of this into motion?
His behavior, you know, it's like, yeah, because the thing of it is, and we'll talk about both these at the same time, and we started talking about last week, is he wasn't wrong, you know?
No.
Now, some of it was self-fulfilling prophecies, you know, like I think he made some of the things that he was worried about happen as a result of his behavior. But man, like if you're having this, you know, strong 5, good, honest people, Survivor doesn't have to be a complicated backstabbing game. You got to chill. You know, you got to chill a little bit. And David had no chill.
Right. And that, yeah, I mean, this was honestly just a multiple episode arc of misfires for David. Like it all culminated in this episode, but they didn't all happen in this episode, right? Like it was a path that he went down. And the wildest thing to me is that it kind of kicks off with Kamilla suggesting that Shaheen has an idol.
It's so amazing.
And then that somehow in David's head turns into a sign that they're working together, which is, I mean, all right. I don't know how you drew that line from A to B, but sure.
I have a guess.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, good. Give me the guess. I got to hear this.
So Kamilla is successful in planting a seed of paranoia in David's mind about Shaheen. And then I think Mary is the one that starts to, point the finger and rouse the suspicion of Kamilla. Now you'd think, but it's like, but no, she's the one who told me about this idol. Clearly that part is lost to history. But I think it was Mary who made him suspicious of Kamilla. So then it's like, I'm suspicious of Shaheen. We're suspicious of Kamilla. And then those two things just kind of melded together in his mind somehow.
Well, I think that was the other interesting thing is that he just brings Mary into the alliance. Like he can just, decide for the group that she's good for them. And, I was talking about how well developed this narrative was. That's probably the underdeveloped part of the narrative, right? Like it just seemed like she shows up and he's like, yeah, so Mary's in the alliance now. And there was not a whole lot of discussion about that, which you assume had to have taken place. There was probably a little more development to that, but it really just seemed like Mary just popped into the scene. It's like, yeah, so Mary's our number 6 now. And yeah, she's totally good with us and it's great. And
see, the thing is, I like that about it because that kind of helps the feeling that was all of that. It's like, why the hell is Mary part of this all of a sudden? Like, we feel that, but I kind of feel like the other members of the alliance probably felt that. Like, David's just like, well, Mary's here because I say she is. We're voting out Kamilla because I say we are. Like, again, maybe in reality, there was more to it. Certainly, they made some kind of bond at some point. I'm not even sure where they came together. Were they on the same tribe in the middle? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I think, the show probably.
But I think like her just suddenly being there, like what the fuck?
Well,
I actually think works well for the narrative.
Right. And that's what I was going to say is like, I think, is that probably exactly what happened? No, but I think in a larger context, like, he probably didn't do a great job of like introducing her into the alliance and like slowly getting everybody more comfortable with her. I'm imagining it was a little rushed and forced. And, like the show made it seem like probably way more rushed and forced than it actually was. But yeah, it's just she appears and she's the number 6 because David says she is. And we trust her. She's great. Then like continuing his comedy of errors, he like demands to call the shot, won't accept any other answers. And which ultimately, like, it didn't matter who they took out there. If they had their strong 6, like you don't have to call that shot. And he gets so aggressive about it. And it's like, why? And then, just goes along with that last vote. And then immediately jumps back onto that demand after the vote. And then,
But not quite just himself, because like at first they're all like, hey, oh no, I'm going to step back and all that. And then everybody's like, I think Mary wants that. And again, that's why I love it. Like suddenly like Mary comes out of nowhere. It's like, okay, that's great. Who the fuck cares what Mary wants?
Well, then, even then, after all those errors, right? Like he still could have stayed safe in this episode because that, like, you can say whatever you want, but like I think he was legitimately correct that was easily a challenge that he could have won at the end, right? Like he could have easily been immune. And
I thought he was going to win it. And you know who else thought he was going to win it?
David.
All the people whining and bitching and crying that, oh no, they put a bicep challenge here. Fuck off. Seriously, I don't know, like most of the stuff I've been like reading and complaining about it has been on other social media. I do apologize somewhat to the people on maybe person on ours, but seriously, fuck off. So many challenges are tailored to certain people, and it seems like people only cry when they're tailored to like physical strength.
Well, I
like
mean,
we're literally one episode removed from a challenge in which those people had no chance of
that's
winning.
what I was going to say. It's just last episode. I was like, well, okay, it's definitely not Joe or David winning this one. Right.
Yeah,
and like, then you get to this one and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's probably Joe or David winning this one.
It's just how it be sometimes. I hope you do that whining and crying when they do like 3 puzzles in a row. It's like, oh, well, now people don't have spatial awareness, have no opportunity. Man, that's just how fucking competition works, is sometimes people are better at it than sometimes. And I get for a lot of people, this is like literally the only competition they watch. So they don't understand that like being good at things is an advantage. But that's just how it goes sometimes. And I feel like Survivor does enough of a balance that to suggest that this one was in the bag for David, it's just like, man, then they should have voted him out earlier if you're worried about these challenges.
Yep. But yeah, so all those things came together to finally make like David go home. And it was amazing because again, this took several episodes to develop. And we also saw like the Shaheen flashbacks of him just planting these seeds all around. And finally, he got the outcome that he wanted. Specifically, he was just...
Yeah, because I don't think he wanted it prior to now.
Right.
I think, laying that groundwork worked out. Yep. And that tells us that it wasn't just like David's behavior in the past couple times. Like Shaheen never had an intention of going too far with David.
Right.
Which again, everybody who's been so scared about this is going to ruin your precious Survivor. It's like, hey, I feel like you hadn't even done the math on the Strong Five.
Well,
it's 3 people that are really pushing this agenda of like us forever.
But that was the other amazing thing, is that like David was correct to suspect Shaheen was not with him and that Kyle was not with him.
He was always looking to turn.
Like, that was the amazing thing, is that like, you know, things definitely went wrong for David, but like he had the right read. He was right to not trust Kyle. And
I think Kyle is working with Kamilla. He's the only guy to sniff that out.
Right. And like, you know, Kyle's been talking in confessionals about how he's really happy that, you know, no one knows Camilla's his number one, but David has figured out that there is some kind of connection there. He didn't quite nail it. He thinks it's Shaheen and Kamilla, and he thinks probably it's like a little trio. So he didn't totally nail the read, but at the same time, he's the one that we've seen correctly assessing that these people are not on board.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I've said it before about certain things, I'll say it again. Being right will not save you. You know, it's not enough to be right in Survivor. And that's where, you know, David went wrong. You know, he was right that Kamilla is far more dangerous than Chrissy. He was right that, like, this is something that we should probably nip in the bud. Again, wrong that, like, Shaheen and Kamilla were really working together? Possibly. We did actually get, like, 4 episodes ago, a confessional that, like, the 4 people that were, like, Vula 2, like, this is a strong bond after bonding over generational trauma. Like, we're going to work together. They dropped that storyline completely.
Yep.
I wonder if it's still in play, but they dropped it because it would eliminate any of the drama of the past 2. Or maybe, you know, Joe dropped it, but Shaheen's kind of still onto it. Clearly, another reason why we haven't thought about it is Kamilla and Kyle are like, hey, let's get rid of Shaheen.
Yep.
But yeah, no, David was right. But it doesn't fucking matter if you don't have the social game to make people feel that you're right. And apparently just saying, no, bro, I'm right. Why are we still talking about this? Isn't enough.
Well, that was the thing, right? It was like, it's all execution. And, you know, you can say some things are worse than others, but particularly, like, I don't know how you could possibly misread Joe. who was so fucking predictable that as soon as David said, like, hey, you went back on your word, I was like, oh no. Like, I know what response is coming, right? As soon as he says that, I was like, oh shit, Joe is not going to take this well. I have not spent a moment on an island with Joe, right? Like, I've seen a few minutes here and there every week of Joe on TV, and I could already tell you what his response was going to be. David just absolutely screws the pooch on this one. And just, it wasn't even just that he said it once. He could have walked it back. Like, Joe basically...
What do you mean by that?
That's what I'm saying. Joe gave him an opportunity. He could have just walked it back and like, oh, and it's not, I mean, not like that. I meant like, you know, we had discussed or whatever. No, just full force, goes right back in it. Well, you know, you went back on your word. And again, Joe's protesting. giving you the clue that, like, Joe's not cool with the way you're framing this. You might want to try a different angle. Nope.
No,
Just going to plow forward. Like,
Yeah,
let's just see. Maybe if I say it 3 more times, that'll convince him that he went back on his word.
And the thing of it is David does know that, like, truth and honor mean a lot to Joe. It's just that David thinks that that's a way to manipulate Joe, right? If I bring that up, then Joe will have to do what I say, you know? In a way that, like, maybe with Cedric it would work. Like you said, you do that, so now you got to change your vote. But no, obviously it lacks the emotional intelligence of, you that's a barrier you don't push with Joe.
Right.
And that's, again, part of the storytelling that I feel like has been there since, again, last episode. Joe really didn't like the way that David was pushing.
Nope.
Now, in that environment, Joe didn't stand up, right? He's like, okay, fine, we'll have it that way. But then once Kyle has the private conversation with him, Joe's like, yeah, no, I didn't. That's not the way he does things, right? Joe's a guy that'll pick somebody not in his alliance at all to go on a reward because he hasn't had one. Like, that's who Joe is, right?
Right.
But David is a kind of a plow forward on everything that lacks the subtle touch.
Right.
So and that's just wonderful. Wonderful for us.
Yes. It was great for TV purposes. But yeah, it was really, he just fucked this up. Because, I mean, you can imagine a David type who figured out what was going on and then instead figures out how to exploit that situation and turn the group against Kyle or Shaheen or whoever it might be, Kamilla. Whereas the exact opposite happens in this episode, and David just gets totally outmaneuvered. And that was the enjoyable part. We got to see how the other side worked together. You know, Kyle and Shaheen, from the start of the episode, we got Kyle going to talk to Shaheen, like, oh shit, I gotta, get Shaheen on board, which Shaheen is just, yes, okay, I'm convinced. Oh, he thinks that it's me and Kamilla. Oh no, fuck this guy. And then, we see over the course of the episode, like, no, they were clearly down to plot against David for a while, and then they figure out how to grow those seeds that they've been planting to get other people to get on board with this plan. And yeah, I enjoyed, I think, seeing that it wasn't just Kyle, right? Like, Kyle clearly was having a plan, and we saw him talking to Kamilla about how to strategically execute their plan. Like, oh, here's the information you need to know. What should we do? Which I also thought was a very cool scene. Like, I
really liked how Kyle told us that that's like the dynamic that he has to work with.
Right? He's like, I'm the social one. She's the strategic mind. So I'm going to go and we're going to talk to her. And I think that even played into it more when at Tribal Council, Camilla's like, I wish that it was more weird people like me, but instead it's all these strong buff people. Like, it kind of played into that same narrative where Kyle's like, yeah, I'm hanging out with these buff guys and being all social, but Camilla's the brains behind the operation here.
Yeah.
So
it showed how it's a useful partnership.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, symbiotic. They're helping each other here.
I do want to highlight one quick because when Kamilla wins this season, there's going to be a lot of people, and she'll beat Kyle at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It could be even the final 3.
Sure.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to give her the social game credit because that's what people online do, and there's some people that will just assume that if you fit a certain type, you're a social player. And I think we've seen, again, Kyle mentioned it, and I think that's true. I mean, what social bonds have we seen Kamilla been making?
Right?
Yeah, no, she's more of a devious player, and I love her for it.
Yes.
And that's why she's my favorite player of all time. So yeah, sorry, that was an aside, but it just I love that the episode highlighted it, and it's something to kind of track.
Right. Her bond is Kyle, and Kyle has the other bonds, and then Kamilla feeds off of those bonds and uses them to their mutual advantage. One that is maybe not to their mutual advantage was the Mary and David bond. Do you think that, obviously Mary and David were closer than we initially thought they would be? Like, last episode was suddenly like, hey, we're number ones. All right. Do you think Mary helped sink David's game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest person who sunk David's game was David, but I do think there's something there, and it was interesting, and I think the show gave us some that like really is a place I wanted to explore, and I liked what I got. Like David in the beginning of the season, this happens. Obviously, some of it's just edit based completely. Some of it is also big guys starve for a while and they become a little less jovial. But like he was like the nice guy. Hey, I only need to know 3 things about somebody. These questions, and hit this another swamp. And he's like, hey, I'm on a tribe with all women. It's great. I love this and all this. And then we get to this part, and all of a sudden he's a little more aggressive. All this. And it's less about, hey, we don't need to do any of the strategizing. What happened is that a damn dirty strategist got a hold of David and just messed him all up. He knew you got to watch out for the puzzle makers and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And then suddenly David's now, I'm going to try the strategy. Big mistake.
Yep.
And yeah, just like when I was watching it and like the scenes between them, especially, right? And she's just needling him, right? It has to be this and all this. And we saw the two of them, the great minds, like out thinking themselves. Well, then they're going to play an idol and it's going to be for Kamilla and all that. So now we got to put it on somebody else and all this. And they're just working themselves up into just this, rampant paranoia. And literally as I'm watching, like, she's Lady Macbeth.
I mean, it is funny because there's an alternative reality where like Kyle and Kamilla have a similar conversation. They're getting it right. Like they're having this like, oh shit, we need to figure out how to get rid of, because they're having the conversation already about Eva's advantages. And like, oh, she's got, Kyle's information dumping. Oh, she got the new safety without power. We're gonna have to plan how we're gonna take care of that. So there's, again, a scenario where those two are having a conversation and figuring out how to engineer a vote just in the same way as Mary and David. It's just Mary and David really just barking up the wrong tree, like just really whiffed on this one.
But like, and when do things start to turn for David? And he's not just seen as like, hey, a fun, and again, we're not doing strategy, just honorable stuff. It's when now Mary's part of this alliance. And this would make Mary feel comfortable. Like suddenly it's like, I mean, why does it have to be 6 in the first place? 5 seemed fine. And if it was 5, then he'd be working more on his bond with Eva, which apparently is real. And we talk about it this episode. He'd be making sure he keeps his bond with Kyle close, because that would be his former Shiva member. But now he's trying to like, protect himself and Mary. And that just, again, does not compute. He doesn't have that firmware. Like, he's not supposed to be working strategy. Whereas if, he had never aligned with Mary and he just stuck with them, maybe he just leaves the thinking about what to do to other people. Like, maybe that 5 would have worked just fine, because they just would have picked the other people off, and Kyle wouldn't have had to do anything to save Kamilla. Wouldn't have been worried about Shaheen. It would have been like, it could have been Mary that they voted out. It could have been Chrissy. Like, who cares? It's not one of us 5. But now suddenly it's like, it's got to be this. And I genuinely feel that it was Mary who was saying it's got to be Kamilla. And then David's like, okay, well, I'm going to make that happen. And it's like, that's not your strong suit, man. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I do think in many ways that like it probably, like, I think he was always destined to ruin his game at some point anyway.
Of course.
But I think she accelerated the process.
Yep.
Not intentionally. I don't think this is good for her.
Right. I think she was just, this was not a plan on Mary's part. I think she was just the lighter fluid that, she just sprayed onto the flame and boosh. That was it.
I think David was perfectly content to just host the king at his castle, right? And then suddenly she's like, but you could be king if you just kill him. So,
yep.
That's from that play that we're not supposed to name.
Yeah, right. I agree with you overall, by the way, that this is mostly just an own goal on David's part. But, again, he was very correct to suspect some of the things that he did. It's just, it was really stunning to watch how bad he was about making a plan to do something about it, which really just, makes him wanting to get rid of the strategist make a whole lot of sense, right? Like, it's like, oh.
Going in, he knew his weakness.
Yeah, he's like, we should get rid of all these sneaky strategists because, like, I can't compete with them. Well, good job with your self-evaluation there, because you clearly cannot. Correct. So, yeah, ultimately, this was just David being his own undoing in the game. And fun to watch.
Yes.
Like, there's
Fantastic.
It's been a great ride. And speaking of a great ride, now we still have Kyle and Kamilla in the game. Obviously our faves, right?
Yeah.
But we're in a situation where a move has been made against the strong five, right? Like, what comes next for them? Because, is it time that they come out of the shadows? Are they going to make their alliance known? Do they continue to try to operate as though they aren't that tight? Where do you see them going?
Yeah, so the previews show, hey, there's 4 there of the strong 5, there's 4 left, and there's 4 of us. Let's do this thing. So, Mary, Kamilla, Star, and Mitch. Let's team up and let's make a move on Joe. And we see Kamilla like, oh, they want to make a move on Joe. That's not the move at all. And I feel like what we're seeing in the Kamilla scene is her telling Kyle or possibly Joe himself, well, this is what we want to do. Because no, for one, 4 versus 4 isn't that great a shot.
Right.
Okay, there's that. You going to rocks for these people? It's not that go time. 2, why form an alliance with Mary? She's the one who put you in danger in the first place.
And Kamilla will be able to figure that out through Kyle, which I don't think Mary will understand that. But yeah, Kamilla will definitely be aware of that.
Why would you want to rely on Star? Like, it's just, there's people that are excited because, again, all these people want is this strong alliance to lose because they do not see themselves in this alliance.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is that, like, if Kyle and Kamilla are to keep their, like, ride or die alliance secret here, that's the way that it could go down, right? Like, if it's engineered as a 4 from the outside coming out and, maybe Eva plays the safety without power, like she gets spooked and now it's suddenly 4-3 and the 4 can take like Joe or I guess Shaheen even maybe out. At that point, then it kind of works out that, like, okay, now it's a numbers game and Kyle and Kamilla really can stay hidden and keep manipulating votes back and forth. I agree with you. I don't see it happening. But yes, that is how the preview seems to make us want to believe that it will happen.
And Kamilla making this move only, solidifies in everybody's mind that she is the sneaky, dangerous player. And it's too soon for that, especially because some of the people that should be alerting are the people making the move with her, right? So now, like, I understand why you'd think that, because at some point, probably to win this game, they need to eliminate at least Joe from the picture. But it's still early to be, taking that big a swing. And more than that, I just don't like these new teammates that she would be forming in order to do that.
Yes.
Instead, the move is to sell Mary out.
Right. Mary or even Star, just someone who was clearly
Star would be harder just because it's like, put Star.
Yeah, why? Yeah. What's the point? But I mean,
we'll get to that. Actually, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's either one of them is kind of like, sure, them,
So we did get some scenes with Star this episode. I thought the one with her and Mitch learning to swim, really nice little scene. The sort of thing that could easily just been bonus content, but it was good. It was fine. It was in the episode. We got 90 minutes to fill.
Right.
But my favorite was when an hour in the strategy. It's post post challenge. And then she just comes ambling up on Mary and David. And she's all like, so we doing Shaheen? And just in that moment, I was like, I get it now. Like, why she's been like so completely absent for the narrative. It's like, she's not playing the same game as everybody else. She is unaware of the game. And it just made me think that there might be a really interesting, compelling, like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern version of this season.
That's exactly where I was going to go with it. I was like, are you going to make a Rosencrantz reference?
I know. Yes. I'm just on the bar today. Yep. Of like Star's adventure. Probably not as compelling as the one that actually is happening. I want it, just as Romeo and Juliet, it's probably more interesting. But just Star thinks that I don't know what's going on with her, and nobody seems to genuinely care, right? Like, well, by the end, she usually knows, like, at least where some of the people that she's voting with are going to vote. She did not vote David out, but she was told to vote for Mitch, right? So it's like at some point she gets there, but she thinks this whole other thing is happening where she has this like good side alliance or maybe even part of a real alliance with David and Mary. She thinks Eva's good with her, whereas Eva again brought up voting Star out this episode. Like when they were just going over who should it be, Eva was like, how about Star? It's like, oh wow, that gesture like bought her like nothing.
Right, exactly. Thanks for the idol. Here's what I think about you. I actually, the past 2 episodes, I've forgotten that Star is even there. And she's been pulling this Homer Simpson thing, right? Where she's like popping out of the bushes and then just like disappearing back into them. And it's like, I have to say though, I've been enjoying it. She comes out, she makes her little cameo appearances, and then like
she's a wacky neighbor,
right?
Hey, he's here, and then she leaves, and really not part of the A or B stories, maybe not at all.
Just gets in her little line, like, oh, that was fun, and then she's gone. I don't hate it. She's not boring.
And I know there'll be people, and that's fair. Everybody enjoys this differently. You're allowed to have different opinions than mine. They're not as good, but that's fine. That like will dislike it. Like, why aren't we seeing Star? But like just that scene alone, and kind of always just like she is completely not plot relevant. That's why we're not seeing Star. Yeah, exactly. And I think like the people involved have like consciously chosen to make her plot irrelevant. It's like she's on a need to know basis and she don't need to know any of this. And but the think of it when she came up on them is like, so we're getting rid of Shaheen now? It's like she thinks she does know what's going on.
She's like finger on the pulse.
She's just so very wrong.
She's me guessing the Oscars. She's like, she's like, I got it.
And like it's not totally far off. Like there some of David and Mary's motivations is that they're afraid of what Shaheen could do. But at no point are they actually trying to vote out Shaheen, right? Although I guess Chrissy did. So she thought is she still on that plan from when Chrissy voted for Shaheen and Star didn't? It's just like the way she so confidently did it is that like she thinks that's what's happening. And everybody's like, oh shit, we forgot to tell her.
Yep. It's pretty great. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm fine with her sticking around because she's adding something. It's not much, but I don't need much from her. Like there are other people that are carrying this season, and I enjoyed the little contributions. She's a great role player. I'll say
she was funny at Tribal Council when she just started laughing at Camilla's attempt to throw shade without calling it out.
She's like, I'll hang a lantern on this. Here's exactly what she's saying.
And it was funny and fun, but at the same time, it's like, that's probably why people don't want to include you in the conversation.
Yep.
Dude, you're blowing up my spot here.
Right.
I don't really care because we're going to vote his ass out, but you got to chill.
It was great. So I mentioned that, Eva is now loaded with little surprises that she's got. She's got the safety without power this week. How did you like, first of all, the setup of that reward for her?
Far more interesting than reach into a bag or roll a dice or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, real decisions and not putting a vote at risk. It was nice job, Survivor. I know it was hard for you.
Right.
But yeah, and we've seen this in the past, right? You win something, if you want to keep trying to make it better, you got to put it at risk. So yeah, no, that was good. I think she was absolutely right to risk that extra vote. And good for her. She explained exactly why. Right. Because it's really not that great. It's nice to have. It's better than nothing. But if you walk away with nothing, it's like, I didn't really lose much.
Exactly. And it's, at that point, you're like gambling with house money, right? Like losing that extra vote is likely not going to have much of an impact on the game at all. However, safety without power is basically like a weaker idol, right?
Yes.
Like you can just keep yourself safe. So,
but you can't vote.
Right. And so it's, it's not bad. And again, she already has an idol too. So it's essentially giving her 2 tribal immunities, which is pretty sweet. So yes, it is 100% worth the risk.
Yeah. And 2 out of the next 5, I believe, at that point.
Yes, exactly.
I think they were at final 9.
Final 7 is the one for safety without power, and then 5 would be the idol.
So then she could have, though, given that up, get a full power idol, which would give her the ability to vote. And it's not just the ability to vote, it's that everybody doesn't know that you're immune.
Right.
Like with the safety without power, you just fucking bounce.
Right.
And then everybody gets to change their votes accordingly.
Sure.
Which is important. But yeah, otherwise that would have been 2 all the way to 5. So where do you think of her decision to not risk that?
I would not have risked it, just because, again, you've already gotten the chance to keep yourself safe at 2 tribal councils. That's it. Like, the extra that you're going to get from a 1/3 shot at an idol, like, yes, you could potentially use it to save somebody else. Like, yes, after, they take out, or you successfully play your idol, then they wouldn't know you have a second one. But that's overthinking it. I mean, you would have had to successfully play that idol the first time, or just, I guess you wouldn't have to. But either way, the point is, it's not worth a 1 in 3 shot at immunity when you already have immunity in hand, a form of immunity in hand.
So when I was watching, I supported her decision and kind of the same thinking as you. If it was me, it's not worth the extra, especially because she had an idol. If she didn't have an idol, then it's like maybe you want that protection all the way to 5, and it might be worth the risk. But I started thinking about it since then. It's like, what are the odds that Eva's going to know in the next 2 votes that she needs to get out of there? It's not looking good.
Right.
And if she does, if she knows, if she feels threatened that she has to go, then fucking Joe is doomed unless he is immune, right? Because that's the thing about this. Now, maybe at that point, hey, she's still alive, but then, everything falls apart, right? Like if somebody's making a move on Eva and Joe in the next 2 votes, unless Joe is immune, or she gives Joe her like full power idol and then she bounces. It'll probably work, because if Eva is like, oh no, oh my God, they're coming after me, I'm out of here, then they just all vote for Joe.
Right. But
so like for her specifically, I mean, I think I still support the decision making, and I don't see where, like, again, if she anticipates that people are going to make a move on her right now, then she should really do something about that, right? But like, I feel like I don't think that safety without power is actually going to help her.
But
what I'm thinking.
I would also argue that I don't know that an extra idol is going to help her, because I don't really think she's going to have the finger on the pulse to know when votes are coming her way. Like, she is destined to be blindsided.
Yeah, touche.
I guess Joe would be the one to sniff that out for her. But I think everybody also knows, like, hey, if you're going to blindside her, you obviously don't let Joe get wind of it. So, I don't know that a second idol is going to do her that much.
You know what? I totally agree with that. Yeah. I say, yeah, what I was thinking is, like, I would rather know, because, like, what an idol would give you is, like, you sniff it out, you play an idol, they vote for you, you get, your way. That's, the benefit you're not getting at all with safety without power. But yes, I good talk.
Right.
I agree. I don't. The woman who has started this season and is continually throughout the season made sure to remind us that she won't know when people are lying to her. Yeah, probably not going to deploy these things. Probably.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think for her specifically, I don't know that a second idol is going to do it. I do want to point out that this actually.
At which point, maybe the extra vote would have been better.
Which would be hilarious. Fishback pointed this out, and I just found it very funny. The note said that, like, oh, how power in this game, safety without power. It is very funny. Like, oh, I got
Which
power.
is it, man?
I got power without power. Cool. So anyway, I just found that very amusing.
I laughed out loud for real.
Yeah, it was good. All right, so let's move on. On that little trek that she's going on, I mentioned last week, and it was very funny too, that I specifically called out, this is so dumb. No one ever fucking catches you on these things. They're like, oh, don't get caught. And then no one ever catches you. So of course, this week, Shaheen does catch her, knows exactly why she's getting up and to leave in the middle of the night. But then he goes and alerts Joe. Like, is like, hey, Joe, wake up. What did you think of that choice?
A couple things. First off, what a brilliant and fun scene. And the shot that's like already meme, like, it'd be a great gif of her like walking by and then this like hooded figure, shadow just popping by out of the back. It's fantastic. I do wonder if like, yeah, most people are going to get caught. Maybe this is again part of who Eva is that she just like didn't wait very long at all. It's like, I'm going to do this now. I don't, yeah, my wife was like, why the hell are you telling Joe? And here's the thing is, Shaheen's number one ally is Joe. Yeah. We know that Shaheen is not Joe's number one. I'm sure Shaheen is aware that, he has a strong relationship with Eva, but like for Shaheen, Joe's his guy. So that's why he told Joe, is that's my ally, and an ally for whom being, loyal and honest is very important. So if I kept this from him, that could be a problem. Also, probably part of Shaheen's motivation is like, I know that I'm battling Eva for Joe here. Maybe I could do something about. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying this is what's happening.
Right. I think, I could see that as like him trying to plant the seeds to split them up down the line, or to guarantee that he's the number one. But if that was the plan, wow, did that really backfire in a major way? Because she did exactly what Joe expected. And so like immediately tells him in the morning, like, hey guys, so last night, here's what I did. And breaks down exactly what she got, like where she went and all that shit. And Joe's like, see, I knew it. So if anything, like Shaheen's attempt to like, oh, I gotta improve my position. No, he actually improved hers instead.
No, but I don't think it hurt him, right? It's like,
No.
I was honest with Joe. Joe told me not to worry about it. And then, hey, look at that. Everything was good. Everything was fine.
Yep.
Just like I thought. You're right, Joe. But like, whereas if he had kept it from him, then like, he might not have ever found out that like she was honest about it.
Right.
So like, again, like, it's like, why would you tell Joe? It's like, well, that's why you'd tell Joe. Joe's his main ally.
Right.
Like, are we thinking it would have been a better idea for him to tell Kyle, who was openly plotting with Kamilla to ruin his game?
Yeah.
Like, again, I guess the other option would have been to tell nobody, but I don't know what that would have been. Yeah, Joe actually makes sense the most. It just also had very little chance of a payout because of who Joe is and who Eva is.
Right.
Would have been much better if it was anybody but Eva.
Well, and that's the other thing. Because, if it was someone that Joe wasn't super tight with, great. That definitely works. And although in that case, I don't know if you end up telling Joe. Actually, I guess you would, because it would still be his number one. So, yeah, that would be fine. But
the one thing I wonder is, like, why did he stop following her?
I thought that too, right? He like, you get the little weird horror movie thing, like Blair Witchy shit, where he's just lingering in the background, and then he just stops, and then she keeps walking. Well, it wouldn't be cool to keep following. Right.
Like, I think it'd be fine. If it looks like she's using the bathroom, then you break off.
Right. And then it's like, oh, shit, wrong move.
But my wife will also ask the same thing. I think it's because it's really fucking dark.
That's
true. So he probably lost
shit.
Well, he probably lost track of her even, right? Like, once she's away from camp, there might not be any light. She knows where she's going, so she can go kind of slowly in the dark. It's probably harder to follow somebody in complete darkness.
It's fair. Also, it could just be, maybe he's tired. Wants to go back to bed.
I'll let Joe know, and I gotta catch some Z's.
Exactly. It's my bedtime. So ultimately, after all this, and Eva tells the whole crowd, like, oh, I got this stuff. It ends up that it's coming down to Joe and Eva determining where this vote's going to go, right? Like we've got Shaheen saying like, yeah, I'm cool to turn on David. But because Star is apparently just, 100% lockstep with David and Mary somehow, they have to have some extra votes. And that means going to Joe and Eva. And how did you feel about Eva as a swing vote? Because Joe specifically said, like, no, you make the call on this one. This is yours.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been mostly annoyed with David directing all their ire about the, Strong Five Alliance to David. And that makes sense. He's the tallest blade of grass. He's the most talkative one. Eva is right there with him as fully committed to this idea for the exact same reason. she don't want to play a Survivor game where you have to like lie and stuff, because she's openly admitted that's not what she wants. So, like, she's trying to like create the conditions of like, hey, Survivor doesn't have to be so hard for me. Everybody will tell the truth always. So that's why she has a real struggle for her, because she knows that like if I vote out David, that magical dream of everybody just being completely honest and straightforward is going to die. I'm glad that she did do it, and I suspect Joe had more influence. The decision's yours, but I'll guide you to making the right decision.
But let me tell you my feelings, though. Yeah.
But yeah, like this all harkens back to the first episode where they had the really well done and heartwarming scene about her sharing her secret with Joe, and Joe was great about like, how do I help you and all of that, and they paid off just wonderfully at that challenge. And everybody was like, we must protect Eva at all costs, Joe and Eva forever. And I was like, I mean, we're seeing a partnership and alliance of two really boring people come together. And I feel like that take has helped them so strong, because when I see Eva like talking about this, it's like, I just want my friends to be friends. Like, bitch, you're on Survivor.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, did you expect that she was going to be willing to go against David? Because, from seeing her talk, she really was all about this alliance for very reasonable and understandable reasons that you pointed out. Like, this would make life easier on her. So Did you think she was going to be like, fuck it, I'll take out David?
Given that I felt like David was going home based on it, I was like, I'm not sure how she gets there, but she'll get there.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, in a vacuum, I don't think I would have anticipated her being like, I'm fine with that. But yeah, because of the way the episode was structured, I was like, man, I guess she gets there. But like, I'm still a little surprised by it, because it's same. Yeah. I
think what it is that like it kind of goes over. It's like, that's what we may want, but we're never getting back there again. Like, David's just going to stay paranoid. So in order for us to play a calm game, we got to get him out of here, and then we can just go back to everybody being honest with each other.
Strong 4. Yeah, and I think you're probably right that Joe probably exerted a little bit more influence over her. Maybe she actually asked for it. Maybe like, how would you feel if you were making the call? Whatever it might have been. But I think Joe's opinion on this was ultimately not totally shaped, I guess, but I think reinforced by that conversation that he had with Kyle. What do you think about the way Kyle executed that conversation?
Oh, what a wonderful scene, right? Like, just from a human level.
Sure.
Fantastic, right? And we've gotten several of those this episode, or this season. That's another thing. It's like, man, like, these are likable people. Just because, like, working out pisses you off. And look, man, I can relate. Well, how dare people do that? You're just supposed to let your body go to seed. But there's so many likable people, and that was there. And just true and open and honest. But also, I love that Kyle told us, it's like, well, I got to find a way to convince Joe. And what's the pressure point I'm going to apply is not, I'm going to question his dignity and sense of honor. No, I'm going to connect with him on a human level. So it's like both were just interesting watching people. Hey, man, we get more personal stuff. Why is everybody so focused on plot? But also so much plot. It's like, yes, this is why it's Survivor and not just, people meeting each other. So I thought it was fantastic.
It was an excellent read by Kyle. Like, I'm guessing he has picked up on the fact that Joe feels loyalty towards those who are like open with him, right? Like, that was clearly what made the him and Eva connection so strong, is that she had opened up to him about the autism, and like, so he's probably thinking like, okay, and we'd had that previous scene where the 4 of them were all in a group together and they're sharing personal stories, and he probably noticed like, oh, Joe seemed much more into being aligned with me in those moments, because he felt a more personal connection. So it's like, this is a strategic move on Kyle's part as a way to get Joe to the conclusion that he wants Joe to reach. But then B, like, the method which he used was like perfect, right? Yeah. He comes up, he's telling Joe the story, and I think I saw some of our commenters on our site were like confused as to how this worked. I'm pretty sure, I don't want to guess what was, left on the editing room floor, but like, I'm pretty sure Kyle's story either got edited for TV or there was just other much stronger implications made that David was essentially giving him aggro cop vibes, right? Like,
Yes.
that was what we were supposed to pick up on.
It also could have been left unsaid because Joe doesn't need it said.
Exactly.
We're the same blood. Like,
that-
man, I know what you're saying.
and that's what he's saying. Joe brings up his dad. Like, he's probably, whether there was more to it than that. And then the point is, Joe got the story and was like, no. I understand what you mean. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I see it in David. Yep. Okay. And again,
And then I think, sorry.
Beautiful way to make that connection, right? Like it's all coming together for Joe. And then Kyle, has a genuine human moment with him that also is very strategically important to his game.
Yeah, he figured out what the jury needed. I don't know if he is like a trial lawyer, but how are we going to connect? And it also helps explain like why he was the way he was last episode. So it's like it can kind of float away the idea that David's right. Now he's just trying to protect Kamilla. It's like, I didn't like the way that it made me feel. And that's another thing, because it's like Joe also doesn't like the way it feels. I think he didn't like the way that David made Kyle feel last episode and continues to do that. Like, I think it probably offends kind of Joe's,
fatherly protective instincts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
that
getting.
works. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, just a fantastic read. And still just like a real conversation. It probably felt good for Kyle to talk to. Frankly, it seems like it feels good for a lot of people to talk to Joe. I would like to talk to Joe about my problems.
Seems like a great guy.
I know a lot of people, made him like a symbolic of like, I don't want to see this kind of Survivor, but it's like, he seems like a good guy. Do I want him to win? Like, I'd actually be okay if he did, but he's not like near the top of my list.
No.
But yeah, he's a good guy. He's gonna have to. He already has had to, vote people out that he didn't want to. And he'll have to keep doing that. I fully understand everybody who nails on the chalkboard whenever we talk about playing with honor. I hate that shit too. But I would like to talk to Joe about my deep dark circles, except that
Sure, why not?
they're lame and there aren't any.
Well, I mean, you're a secret Mormon. We've established that. I don't know that that's a big reveal that you can make to Joe. I don't know.
Hey, real quick on that, we did get a fan mail on this, and I think also Emma confirmed this. Apparently, like, you can still drink Coke apparently the restriction isn't caffeine; it's like hot drinks.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Oh, so my iced coffee would be fine?
Maybe.
That was the one thing holding me back from becoming Mormon.
There you go.
I'm going to go sign up now.
We'll see. We'll see if that's the only thing holding you back.
Okay.
Based on the conversation we're about to have.
Okay. Yeah. So, in honor of Kyle's admission, I feel like the perfect top 3 for this week is the top 3 crimes that we've committed. So.
Yes, and that's us.
Yes.
So this will reveal a lot about us. Mostly, I mean, I guess I don't know yours, that we're boring and lame.
Right.
But however, like what Kyle was confessing to also wasn't really much.
Correct.
And there's a key difference that we either were never caught, or even if we were caught, we would not have faced those penalties. Because again, another thing that was left unsaid is the blatant fucking racism of the legal system. The fuck? He went to jail for that shit?
Yeah. So I'm going to start. First, I want to give my honorable mentions. Big shout out.
Another thing we should say is, as always, feel free to share, but also feel free not to share.
Yeah, you can absolutely sit this one out. If you
Yeah.
want to do it.
We're happy here, but don't feel like, man, I gotta let everybody know about that statewide crime spree. Like, you don't.
Yeah.
What you're comfortable for. This is a safe space.
You know what you could...
But no pressure.
I was going to say, well, it's not a safe space because if you commit crime and you post about it on the internet, like, it's probably not the wisest decision.
I know.
Although, given the shit that I'm seeing in the news, I guess you can just say you're going to do the crime and then do the crime, and then everybody's like, I guess he just did the crime, and it's fine. So,
we're totally confessing on wax here, right?
Right, yeah, that's what's happening. But, another option, if you don't want to necessarily talk about the crimes you committed, you can do what I'm about to do here, because I'm going to shout out the crimes that I'd like to commit for my honorable mentions. Number 1, top of my list is giving water to a voter in Georgia outside a polling place. Like, that's up there. I would love to commit that crime. And then my other honorable mention, of course, insider trading, a crime I would love to commit, but I can't because I'm not in Congress. I could probably do a third, but like, if you want to make the list of crimes that you'd enjoy committing, you could do that one too. Just don't be problematic.
I mean, at this point, number 3 has to be, why the fuck am I paying my taxes? Like, if you're in the United States, right?
Right.
They're only going to fucking like Elon Musk and like Trump's pockets. B, they've gutted the industry that would like go after, or not the industry, but the department that would go after you for not paying in the first
place.
There's
like 4 people in our IRS right now.
Yeah,
and
so
for
you gotta
those of
feel
you
like this crazy
non-Americans,
chump.
Yeah, for those in the non-Americans, IRS is the bureau that collects our taxes.
Yeah. So you got to feel like this crazy chump for paying, but at the same time, it's like, but what if, what if in 4 years they actually like hire people again? Like, so I understand. I don't have any choice. Our taxation still going strong. Well, they're going to cut like the percentage for the first 50K by like 1% or 2.5%, depending on who wins.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Look at those liberals coming through.
I mean, they stole that from the conservatives.
Great. Sure. Of course they did.
Classic liberal strategy of, oh, no, we're not popular. Let's just do what the other side is doing. We're flexible.
Amazing.
Anyway, crimes.
Yeah. Let's go. Go ahead. You hit your number 3 because I already did my honorable mentions.
All right. Just real quick. This one I already confessed to 2 weeks ago, so it's not my third. But yeah, I committed car insurance fraud for several years there when I was pretending to live in a city that I didn't. Hey, how about this? Did you pick up on that? That like the provincial government like paid for car insurance?
That's wild.
You can't even get people to pay for health insurance.
Right. Yeah. No, it's insane.
I mean, we did have to pay a fee, but it was so low because it was subsidized. Fucking land of the free right here.
Wow.
So instead, my number 3 is back in like junior high, I think probably grade 7. There was like a 2-week span in my life where I smoked cigarettes.
Ooh.
Yeah. And why I did it, tale as old as time. I wanted people to think I was cool. Because up until that moment, obviously, the journey of adolescence, I was a kid that like was good, right? I did, the teachers liked me. I did well in school, all that. I wanted to change that rep. I wasn't going to I was still going to do well in school and all that, but like, no, I'm not a wimp. I'm going to do this. So I did smoking. Couple things. I doubt I ever inhaled. That's the one. And 2, why did I stop? Here's why. My friend's older brother, 2 years older, he was all like, finally, I get to hang out with other smokers like me. And I was like, what? Because I thought this guy was just the biggest fucking loser, right? So like this guy thinks that I'm with him. I'm doing this to be cool. So I dropped it. That was it. I couldn't. I'm like, I'm not like you. So that doesn't seem like much, but apparently Kyle would have gone to jail for it. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, like, when I started drinking later, but like when I finally did it, I was like, oh, and drink is fun. Maybe I'll smoke too. And then I was like, actually, I'm not interested. No, it was like, ooh, forbidden fruit. Then I was like, no, actually, no, it just gross. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. And I don't have underage drinking to talk about because I don't have overage drinking.
Right, exactly.
But it's like even tougher for you guys. Like legal drinking age where I live is 18.
Really?
Yeah, every other province is 18, like it's 19 BC, 18 Alberta, 19 Saskatchewan, 18 Manitoba, so on and so forth. Or I don't think it quite, because where you're going, Quebec is 18, but Ontario's 19, which just ends up happening is like people go over the fucking border when they're 18.
Yeah.
There's like a city that's like both Quebec and Ontario. Guess which side the bars are on?
Never figured out. So I'll get back.
What do you mean? Still, you think over time we're gonna raise that? Like 21 makes sense? That's insane. I think you're the only place other than like I don't think any other European countries are as old as 21.
Well, I mean, I think part of the reason we had to do it is because everybody just was drinking and driving.
I think they're still doing that, though. And you start driving at 16. Look, man, I clearly don't support drinking at all. I understand why you'd want to, but I think we had like a good 10-year span there when it was proven that if we try to stop people from doing this, they're just going to resort to all kinds of crime.
Yeah. So speaking of other kinds of crime, my number 3, my bestie who listens to this will remember that once upon a time, I and he got busted for trespassing because we like climbed up onto the roof of our school just because it was there and there was a way to do it. And it was like, this seems like a fun, cool thing to do. And then we got spotted. Actually, I didn't get spotted. My best friend didn't get spotted. Another motherfucker that was with us got spotted, and he panicked and then gets caught and then
sold you out.
Well, I mean, it was like at that point, once you've identified him, it was obviously going to be us that were there too, because we were all there for this same class or something. It was like a night class or some shit. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, bro. Like genuinely, the strategy was we got spotted. Just fucking duck. He can't see us anymore. Like stay low. He can't see. He doesn't know where we're going to come down. But no, this idiot's like, oh my God. And he runs and goes straight to the ladder. I was like, wait, obviously he's going to see that. Anyway,
man,
yeah.
Stitches get stitches.
I know.
That's a tough thing as a parent, right? It's like you want to teach your kids to not do these things and all that, but I also kind of want my kids to know that you can't be a dirty ass snitch. It's tough.
Yep. It's a fine line.
Yeah. All right. So my number 2, again, we prefaced this. So lame, when I was like late teens, early 20s, when I'd be driving out at night. Like this is late night now, like probably past midnight, and you're at like a red light and there's nobody around. This is like side roads or whatever. I would just like look and like you feel like a fucking chump sitting there at the red light, right? Like nobody is coming any direction. Why am I still here? So I would like look and then I would just fucking go.
Yes.
Right through that red light.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, this is not even worth a story. Well, so I'm checking left, I'm checking right, I'm looking, making sure there's nobody in front of me or behind me. I'm in the clear, so I go. And this intersection was still like on a semi. But I did this at this road all the time. And then out from the parking, or right as I go, out from the parking lot is a fucking cop car.
Oh no.
Yeah, fucking genius I was. So then it's following me, but it doesn't flash, right? So I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I just like get the fuck out of here. He'll just carry on with his night. Because, like, this isn't what he's here to do, right? It's like 2 a.m.
You make the next turn and you're good.
Yeah, well, the next turn was my turn anyway to get home. So I try to lose the tail, right? Like, and again, not speeding. So I'm like, I'm not going to like compound the crime here. And especially because that's what he's doing. That's why he's following me, is to get more on me.
Mm.
But I would get to the speed, like the max speed, as fast as possible. Lots of acceleration, turning into alleys. And like, oh, maybe it'll work. And then the lights go and I fucking pull over and hit defeat. And I got that. Now I only got the ticket for the red, at least. It's like, man, you could have just pulled me over there. Like, we both know the score. And then, like, what do you say? Like, hey, what was the red light? It's like, oh, I was being a fucking dumbass. Like, I don't have an excuse. Right. I just didn't feel like staying there.
I'm colorblind.
Doesn't say that on your license, son.
Right, exactly. So
again, privilege. Maybe if I was somebody other, they would have like flashed those earlier or shot at me. Okay, not here in Canada, probably, but still. Lame crime, but crime nonetheless.
Yeah, I want to point out that, like, unlike Kyle, I faced no consequences for my trespassing. Probably a coincidence, though. And so my number 2 is, the classic young idiot crime, which Kyle himself confessed to, public drunkenness. I do want to point out, though, like, to the credit of myself and my young college friends, we would get just hammered and then walk home. Like, even if it was really far, like we, go to a friend's house, we drive over there at the start of the night, and it's like 2 miles away or some shit. Who cares? And if we got drunk enough, we'd just be like, well, we're not going to drive, obviously. So we would just then walk home. A solid, like, it was like getting in a track practice, a very, very slow track practice on the way home after an evening/night of drinking. So, if you're going to be stupid, as a coworker of mine used to say, if you're going to be stupid, at least be smart about it. And so we were.
Yeah. And obviously never an issue for me or my friends.
Right.
If I was around. My number 1 was, I murdered that one. No. So again, back to junior high. That point, I have friends that are like really gifted shoplifters, especially this one kid, just anything. You just swipe it, take it. And I'm older now, and I'm a teenager. I'm part of that thug life, right? So I want to feel like a part of that. At first, like I would like, I'll distract the teller or whatever while he does it. I don't think I contributed anything to that enterprise, but made me feel like that. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to steal something. So this is just at a fucking grocery store. I think I did it successfully the week before. And hey, tie this season, chocolate milk. That's what I was stealing. So then my friend, he grabbed something, gone. Like, boom, boom, he's out. And I fucking probably took like half an hour. Like, oh, is it clear? Is it clear? Should I do it? Should I not? To the point where the store, like LPO, the loss prevention officer, was probably like, fucking do it already, kid.
Right.
I
like,
got places
come
to
on.
be. So I finally, grab it, put it under my jacket, walk out the store, and bam, like, the hand on the shoulder. Just the world's worst shoplifter.
Right.
And so, honestly, like, my heart was not in it. So I got caught then. Like, again, I get away with it. They called my parents, and don't ever do this again, son. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Accurate. Like, I'm terrible at it.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I'm not about that life.
It's funny because like I was talking to someone recently, and they were like doing the whole like, oh, kids these days or some shit. And they're talking about like, I didn't grow up with much, but you never saw me out there stealing. And I was like, did you not? Because I did. Like, shit, you missed out. Because
I wasn't opposed to the idea. I just fucking sucked at it.
I was going to say, unlike you, I was actually pretty decent at it. But I didn't do it often. And I will say again, like, I did not steal from people because I'd had that happen to me and I thought it fucking sucked. So I was like, why would I ever inflict that on people? But like, if I'm at Target or some shit, I was like, Target has money. I don't. I could use this thing. And so, a few things ended up coming home with me. Actually kind of ties in to my own number one. Also theft, but, a little more convoluted than that. So in college, I ate Subway like 5 days a week. The reason for that is not because I love Subway so much. It is because my roommate worked there. And I did this for like 2 years before he finally got caught. Every day that he was working, I would go in because I didn't have fucking money. So I was like, hey man, free sandwich. That would be great because that and like a bowl of cereal is probably going to be all I eat today. So that would be cool if I could have a free sandwich. So I was getting free Subway for 2 solid years before my friend got caught, because otherwise he was a great employee. His bosses never suspected him. And so then, he finally got caught like the one time. And then he was like, oh man, that was the first time I'd ever done that. And I feel so bad. And they're like, oh, well, all right. Well, we have to let you go. And he's like, oh, all right. And, that was it. Nothing ever really came of it. No consequence to him or to me. And full solid 2 years of free Subway for me in college.
So I feel like he was committing the crime, not you.
I mean, I was the one walking out with the food without paying for it. I mean, he was definitely an accomplice.
Yeah.
So, I was like, thank you for this sandwich, and pretend to hand you money and goodbye. Or actually, sometimes I think I even would hand him the money that he would then pocket and give back to me. So, it was a whole sophisticated scheme, just in case anybody happened to be watching.
There you go. So you've heard now that we're criminal masterminds.
Exactly.
20, 30 years ago, we're talking here. And then, obviously what you guys already know about me, like it was like, no fun drinking stories, no drug stories, no stories. But so hopefully we haven't scandalized you guys again. Share if you want to, probably better if it's funny.
Hey, speaking of funny, I think we need to cover some fan mail because, the people have
retractions to make.
They have spoken, Andy. We got multiple respondents that had to, address this issue. Skip, they want to address this issue. You know that Andy is a supporter of fighting animals. You know this. Yeah. But, all right, hit him with the fan mail, Andy.
Yeah, so like 3 different responders in the fan mail, and then I believe one commenter on the site are like, hey, you can't beat an anteater. They got claws, man. Big, these strong. And you know what? Fair game. Yeah, I actually said they didn't have claws. I was wrong about that. I think I mostly focused on the long snouts.
Yep.
But what I love about this is, yeah, everybody's like, oh, man. You think you could beat an anteater? And then they were like, and like 0 people were like, you think you can beat a whale?
Yeah, no,
Like,
they were willing to accept the whale.
that logic was unassailable.
You made the case.
I was right.
There were no holes in that theory other than in the whale's head.
I know, like Matt tried, like in, DM's like, oh, what if you rolled over? I'm like, man, fuck you with the rollover. For one, we could address that.
I was going to say, we covered that.
Yeah, they're not going to roll over. And if it is, like, you think it's going to be fast? Like, I think I can get out the way.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe I couldn't take an anteater, but the whale, I'm going.
Got it.
Got it.
All yours.
And then another retraction. This one, I think, either this week or last. I think it was this week. Again, last week in comments, our friend Mike Hirsch pointed this out, is when we were talking about songs about money, and then I was like making fun of the Beatles for like complaining about 5% tax. I fucked that. And what's weird is that like I knew that at some point, but yet that day I didn't. They're complaining that the 5% should feel too small. That's the 5% the taxman is letting you have. They were taxing him 95%, is what was happening in this song. So embarrassing by me. Important retraction. Not necessarily as embarrassing as not knowing the members of A Tribe Called Quest, but still.
To be fair, I know the two that I care about the most. The third is interchangeable. Who fucking cares? Anyway,
I think they have totally different defined roles, but we'll move on.
Well, you know what? We're gonna here's what we're gonna do. At the Purple Rock podcast 3-on-3 basketball game. First of all, halftime entertainment is you fighting an anteater now. And then secondly,
the other thing people need to know is like we're not saying we're coming out of these fights unscathed. We're just winning.
Right. That's the point. Is like, you might get a little fucked up, but you won. The anteater waves the white flag first. So, yeah.
I mean, you've heard what a dangerous criminal I am.
That's right. Just thug life. We actually got one other one, too, that someone said, entirely unrelated to the show, but I found out this week that a guy I had been seeing coded his own Survivor League because he didn't, quote, like the other ones out there. As someone who could never give enough of a shit to be in any league, I found this hilarious and just thought y'all needed to know. First of all, I made one of those. It's on our site. Like, you could just, I respect saying that, like, I don't like the other ones out there. Once upon a time, similarly, I thought that, but then I put in the minimal amount of effort to make my own, and I've since just been copying and pasting it every season. And like, why wouldn't I, I respect that you could do better, but I don't respect the lack of laziness is what I'm saying. So like, just join our league because it's there. It's easy.
Every season we debate like whether we should update the rules because of the ever-changing nature of the game, and we never remember when it's time to start because you just copy and paste last year.
Yep.
It's like, do we say that we should get something like this? And every time we just like,
I don't know. Yeah,
we interpret it based on the framework, and I'm confident that we nail it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I have no doubt that somebody could improve upon your formula.
Absolutely. All right. So as I mentioned, we do have that fantasy league. It is purplerockpodcast.com. You can find it there. It's too late to join, but you can just scroll through the results. That must be exciting for you for a fantasy league that you're not participating in. Anything else for this week, Andy?
Hit the music.
This is the copyright free outro to another niche Survivor podcast.